It is Thursday, February 16th, 2023. Welcome to another edition of Baseball Today. I am your host today, Trevor Plouffe, Coach Trev. And with me, I brought my lefty friend, Jerry Blevins. Producer Dan work with us also as always. Jerry, what is going on, man? Thank you for filling in for C Rose. How are you feeling today?
I'm great, man. I'm excited. I always love baseball today. This is fun. It's live. Keeps me on my toes. I get to either speak with you or Rosie, two of my favorite people in the company, and I always get to see Dan beforehand. This is a fun fill-in. I appreciate it.
The live aspect does make it a little more saucy. Like you said, you got to be on your toes. You never know which way we're going to go. C Rose is pretty good about that. I do want to give a shout out to him. He's in St. Lucia with the other boys. I heard it's a nude beach. That's what I've been hearing. So you got C Rose out there just naked, and put that image in your head for everybody.
I hope he let that Southern California sun hit his skin before he headed out there naked and pale.
I wish he was here to say, no, boys. You know, my body's like the Dow Jones, up and down with the weight.
Is C Rose a t-shirt in the pool guy?
I think he stays out of the pool, like in the cabana. I have a feeling that's.
I understand. I'm a skinny guy, with all those athletes, showing off their muscles all the time. And I'm just walking around looking like an average, 15-year-old pale white dude, just white boy body, teenage boy body. I get it, but I'll show off the self-confidence of my figure.
Well, you're like 6'10", bro. So, let's relax. I don't know about average body for you. Okay. Oh, before we started, I was going to start with the questions, but I told you needed to do one thing for me today. Let's talk about your Wordle score. For people that don't know, Jerry and I play Wordle against each other. And every once in a while we send the scores. And what'd you do today?
I figured must have had a good day because you wanted to make sure that I put it out there. I got it in 4.
That's what I always get it in. Today was magic. If you haven't done it, sorry, I spoiled it for you. I got it in 4 today. I'm pretty much a 3 or a 4 guy, Jared.
So I am 4 is the average, heavy favorite. And then 3 and 5 are really close to being tied on the number. And I always, if I get it under 4, I'm happy. So
me too.
To me, 4 is par. If I get a 3, it feels like a birdie. So I'm for that. So I went solar. I always start with solar until it becomes the first word. Then I'll be free, but I can't do it. So I went solar, tacky, caged, and then got magic.
That's nice. I start with trend because I'm a Wheel of Fortune guy, RSTLNE. So I went with trend. I got 0 right there. Then I went cloak. To Mox, like Mox speed. And then I got magic.
I like it. Ooh, Mox. Okay. I dig that.
I don't like using the S, but sometimes you got to do it.
I wanted the CH though. I like the CH together.
Yes. Okay, let's start the show. This is about baseball. And we're going to start with something near and dear to your heart, your team that you cover. Verlander and Scherzer, they reported the camp and they're reunited for the first time since their time in Detroit. When they were there was always noise about a rift between them. How confident are you that bygones will be bygones? And then what do you expect out of the duo this year?
Yeah, to be honest, I don't care about bygones. If not, they're both professionals. They're both at the peak of their game. They're gonna perform regardless of how they feel about each other personally. I'm sure they're very friendly now because this was 10 years ago when they were with Detroit. I have PTSD because my Oakland A's got knocked out by Verlander in Game 5 2 years in a row. So those two together bring me nightmares. But my expectations for these guys are the highest that they could be. These are 2 of the best. They're the 2 highest paid pitchers annually. I expect them to perform up to that. And they're both at their peak. Scherzer dealt with some health issues and he missed a lot of the season, but when he was on, he was elite. And Verlander coming off the AL Cy Young, I expect that caliber from these 2.
I do too. And if you go back to their days in Detroit, I was up close and personal with them as well because I was on the Twins in the Central. And, I have PTSD because I had to face them so much in that cold weather in Detroit. To be honest with you, I remember hearing some stuff back then, but it's kind of expected when you're on a team like they had. It was it was some veteran dudes who were all world players. And then, some of these younger guys who knew they were going to be all world players. I hate using the word alpha male, but like there was a lot of alphas in that clubhouse. And you're around each other a lot. Like there's going to be some things from time to time. I agree with you. They're both like 40 years old right now. Times have changed. You're a dad now. You made all the money in the world, all the accolades in the world. The only thing these two are going to be focused on this year is winning a World Series. That's it. I think we might see like some stepbrothers type stuff where like, did we just become best friends? I really believe they might, because they've been asked questions about like, what do you think it's going to be like to work with Verlander or Scherzer? And they both said the same thing. I can't wait to pick his brain about what he's learned in the 8 years we've been apart. That to me is scary because, as you mentioned, they were dominant last year. Verlander with a Cy Young. Scherzer was dealing with the oblique, and that's horrible for baseball players. If you get an oblique issue, it's going to be difficult to do anything. He still was lights out last year. I hope he said he was working to figure that out. I hope he has, because obliques are no fun. But I expect them to dominate this year. They could be the best 1-2 punch in the game. There's some other people that have maybe a claim at that title, but surely they are ready to go. And like I said, their only focus this year is going to be that World Series.
Yeah, as you know, I mean, you don't have to like your coworkers to do well at your job. You're around baseball players, you're around your teammates so much that there's going to be guys you don't like or that you clash with on occasion. But the bottom line is, if you bring it to the ballpark every day ready to play, there's a mutual respect. And there's no doubt that these two bring it every day because they're both first ballot Hall of Famers. And so there's a mutual respect there from that aspect. And then again, this is a decade later. These guys are going to use each other as resources and probably elevate their game based upon each other. So I'm actually excited to see what they can do.
Me too. Another pitching question for the pitcher. The Rays, we talked about them on our TPP when we did this for Talking Baseball. For the first time in a long time, they boast like a tremendous traditional rotation. They have depth. They have 5 solid starters plus more behind them. So it got me thinking. I want to know what your favorite rotation is heading into the season. And then what do you look for most in a rotation? Is it top end starters, depth, swing and miss? What do you got, Jer?
Gosh, it's hard to beat this 1-2 punch. Their rotation is incredible. McClanahan is one of my favorite pitchers to watch. I'm left-handed. I love watching other lefties do their thing. He's got movement. He's elite, high velocity. You've got Glasnow, the pretty man that he is, doing his thing, letting the ball explode out of the top. They do things differently. They have a really fun rotation. I like where they're going because one of the things to answer your second part that I look for is starters that can chew up innings, because I feel like they were at the forefront of getting away from the importance of starting pitching, and they did the opener. They would have their guys go only twice through the lineup. But I think if you have those really elite guys, the true ace, the true number 2 guys that can eat up, go into the 7th, 8th innings, which I think they're probably going to let McClanahan start to do a little bit more. That's what I look for. I look for the true ace, a guy that can win you in a wild card game, whatever the case may be, a winner take all, game 7. Do you have a guy that can do that? Tampa does, but I think my favorite, and again, it's going to sound homer, my number 1 rotation has got to be the New York Mets. For a couple of reasons. Number 1, we talked about that like true ace. You've got Scherzer and Verlander, who are future Hall of Famers, and they're pitching at that level right now. It's not like Pujols at the end of their career, but they also have some excitement. They have Kodai Senga coming over from Japan with the ghost fork mid to high 90s fastball. That's fun because you don't know how that's going to translate, what he's going to do. And then they have a couple of guys that I just respect that in Cookie Carrasco and Jose Quintana that just know how to pitch. They can do a little bit of everything. They give you something new every day. So as a 5-man rotation, that's exciting. And then they have some depth with Tyler McGill, who was the opening day starter last year. David Peterson, who's should be in a rotation somewhere, but he's been pushed out because of how good the Mets are. So I think the Mets are my favorite because of the top and bottom, and then a little bit of the unknown in Senga.
It's awesome that you can say that about the Mets after losing Jacob deGrom. Do you ever think
Wild.
about that? Like, it's wild. You're talking about this is going to be one of the best rotations in baseball, and you said it's the best rotation in baseball, and they just
I
lost.
said in my favorite.
Okay. Well, you know what I'm saying, though. You lose the best pitcher in baseball when healthy, and you're still at the top. The team that I'm going to talk about is very similar. They just lost the Hale Cy Young. I'm calling the Houston Astros my favorite rotation for a couple different reasons, Jerry. First of all, the guys that are in there. You got Framber, Christian Javier, Lance McCullers Jr. will be back and healthy this year, Luis Garcia, Urquidy, and then the wild card in my mind, if this guy is who they think he is, I don't think there's any competition. Hunter Brown, if he comes up and is the guy, they call him Mini Verlander, okay? Like he models his what's that called? His windup after Verlander, and his stuff sure looks like it. So if he comes up, the depth is there. And another thing these guys have is name a situation they haven't been in and succeeded in. And I think that plays at the big league level. You have to be confident. You guys love to use the word conviction. These guys can throw with conviction at any moment because they've been faced with the highest of highs in baseball. They've been there, done that. And I think, over a season, they can rely on that at any time. If they start to feel, off or something, hey, what does this matter to me? Like, I've been there, I've done that, I've succeeded. I think that's really important in a rotation. It kind of gets overlooked sometimes because if you have a guy that's up trying to, fend for himself or establish himself in the big leagues and he hasn't been in those situations, you never know what you're going to get. These guys are tried and true. So I'm going to take the Houston Astros. And to answer my own second part of my question, what do I look for in a rotation? I, like you, like a stopper. Like, I need someone that's going to stop those losing streaks. You mentioned the wild card game. I love that. That short series, or how it used to be with the one game. That's even more important. You have a guy in there you can just throw out and say, that's my guy. You have to have that. I think the Astros are maybe a little missing in that, or maybe they're not, dude. Maybe Framber
They're
is
probably
that guy.
not. They don't have the name, but they're probably not missing that.
Lance McCullers Jr. could be that guy. So I love the Astros rotation. I think they're going to be in the ALCS again. I don't think anything stopped them. And again, they just lost Justin Verlander, who won the Cy Young last year. He had a 1.75 ERA in 2022. And here we are talking about him being one of the best rotations in baseball.
Well, I wanted to shout out the Astros. I mean, can't talk enough about how good they are, but I wanted to shout out two rotations. They're both in the AL East. It's the Yankees. I think if they don't lose Montas, which again, the Yankees would have preferred him not to pitch last year with how he performed, but I still think he's a very good piece, especially at your number 5 spot. They still have an incredible rotation. Garrett Cole, the stopper. You've got Rodon, who's coming off an incredible 2-year run. Nestor Cortez, who people forget about, is just filth. And then the other one is, for me, is Toronto. That team is so exciting. I love everything. For me, it's like San Diego and Toronto are the teams I always want to watch highlights of their games. If Jose Barrios shows a glimpse of who he was and who he can be and who his stuff can let him be, that rotation and that division is up for grabs, in my opinion.
I love it. We can't do that, Jerry, because people are going to call us coastal elite. So I can't let you mention
I'm a Midwest guy.
I'm going to mention 2 teams in the Midwest. Okay. I'm talking Chicago White Sox rotation. Like, I can't quit them.
I don't blame you.
That's a really good rotation. Go check out who they have. Okay. And the Milwaukee Brewers. Like, there's so many stacked rotations. We didn't even mention the Dodgers, who people say, oh, their depth isn't where it is. Okay. Pepiot is going to come up. Dustin May is going to be a guy.
Dustin May is their number 5 with best stuff ever.
Yeah. There's a lot of really, really good rotations out there, and I do love that.
Yeah,
I wish we had more time on the AMP portion. Let's talk about
I would love
the best 1-2 punch.
Oh, okay. I'll think about that.
Interesting to me. I really like that. Jerry, does Garrett Cole throw fast?
He throws very fast.
You know what else goes fast? Race cars. This show is brought to you by the Daytona 500, the great American race. It's the biggest race of the NASCAR season, and it's coming up on February 19th. This is the one that every driver wants to win, Jerry. If you've never seen it, it's unreal. 100,000 plus fans all on the edge of their seats witnessing the start of the NASCAR Cup Series, battling for position on the massive super speedway at 200 miles per hour. with the cars just inches away from each other. This year is even more special, Jerry. It's the official kickoff to NASCAR's 75th anniversary. If you've never checked out NASCAR, you got to see this race. Park yourself on the couch for the afternoon and tune into the Daytona 500 on Sunday, February 19th. This Sunday, February 19th at 2:30 p.m. Eastern on Fox. Are you a NASCAR guy?
I'm not, but I am a Daytona 500 guy. That's an awesome sponsor, by the way. That's super cool. That's on my bucket list. So I played for the Daytona Cubs when they were in the Florida State League. They run 2 races at Daytona, the opening one, and then they do another one. But it's on my bucket list. To me, it's like the Indy 500, which I've been to. I want to go to the Kentucky Derby, and I want to do Daytona. And I want to do an F1 race like Monte Carlo or something would be pretty cool.
Let's just become race car guys, bro.
Why not?
I don't even like cars.
I'm in.
But I like the Daytona 500.
You've got some rich friends out there. Somebody's got to be like a sponsor. Let's go hang out in Monte Carlo together.
I'm sick of all my rich friends. All right. I've been asking everyone I talked to how they feel about the new rules in 2023. So I'm just going to straight up ask you, what change do you like the best?
It's easy for me, and that's the pitch clock. Like I was really into being a part of the union as a rep. In those discussions, there's some of the rules I don't really love. Like I love personality in baseball, the rocking the baby. That's going to be a balk now because of some of the rules. I like personality, so I don't love that. I like the ban of the shift, but the pitch clock, pace of play, getting the action, I love everything that's going to do. It's too slow. As a pitcher who works slow myself, I would have appreciated it because sometimes I'm standing there ready to go and the batter's taking his time and it's a mind game. I think you get rid of all that BS and keep the action in baseball. I'm super excited for it.
I agree with you. I also like the pitch clock. And I don't know if that's just because I'm a fan now and like I think it's going to enhance the viewing aspect of it. I don't know how I would have felt as a player. I did have some of it my last years in AAA. I didn't mind it then, but I'm thinking, how would I feel if I was in the big leagues in a big moment? And I know there's some safeguards against getting a called strike on you or ball. Like there is a timeout. Like there are things you can do. You can't overuse that. You'll end up getting called on it, I assume.
Yeah, you only get 2. You get 2 timeouts per at, or 1 timeout as a hitter per at bat. Yes.
So there are safeguards against that. Like people are saying, oh man, someone's going to get called out. And they probably will, but that's going to be on you because you can call timeout. I think as a viewer, it's going to help with the sport tremendously. And I kind of like all of the changes that are coming. I need to see him play out in real time. I've mentioned this before, but Jason Stark put out a hilarious article calling it spring training the shit show because like it's going to be. People are going to be mad. They're not going to understand the rules because, baseball players are very, singularly focused sometimes. It's about me, my career, what I'm doing. They have to remember we're doing a lot of changes this year. But the pitch clock is going to be good. I think the pace of play, and they've said this in the minor leagues. It's like the Daytona 500, bro. It's speeding up around those corners. Okay. So I'm excited to see that. The bases thing, I'm whatever on. I think it's probably good for safety. I played a little bit of first base, and I think that's going to be good there. But I agree with you, man. That pitch clock is going to do wonders for the game. And if this works, here's an off the script question. This is live for you. What does that do for like Manfred's image? If all these things work, is Manfred going to get credit for this?
I think he should too. Like as much as I'm pro union, I think he's forced a lot of these rules down the player's throat as far as he can suggest them, the players can reject them, and then they can just implement them the next year regardless. They do a lot of back and forth between the association and the commissioner's office because they talk about rules, they talk about clock, they talk about implementation. But the way they've incorporated the minor leagues, the way they've experimented with the Atlantic League, that's all the commissioner's office side. And if this works, I think it's for the better, and I think he deserves it as part of his whatever his I guess Hall of Fame, because they all go to the Hall of Fame regardless of what they do, but this will be on his his bucket list, his bullet points for what he did. So it could either backfire with malicious the way they're going to go about it. But I think it's a good thing, and he should be proud of this.
I think so too. I've been hypercritical of Manfred at times, but I always say, man, like in that position, you have to take the good with the bad. So like you have to be able to be criticized. If you're at the head of an organization and you're making changes, like you have to be able to be criticized, and you can't not expect that. But at the same time, like I said, good with the bad. If this ends up being a good thing for the game of baseball, I mean, I think he might be remembered for this. The Manfred runner is what they call him in second base. That's the one I'm like iffy on, but I really don't care that much about. But if the pace of play and the viewing aspect of the game of baseball like increases and gets better, then you have to give him credit. So how about that?
I agree with Manfred?
You. I'm giving you credit.
I agree with you on the extra innings rule. I'm not a fan. Give me 2 innings, just like you talk about. Give me 2 innings. And I don't like the expanded playoffs. So like I understand it. I don't want to reward mediocre teams for not doing it. But that is what it is. But I really like the way that he's going about making this pace of play. If it works, it's going to be a huge bonus for the game of baseball as a product.
I'm going to skip one of these questions because I want to ask you now about expanded playoffs, because I agree with you. You don't want to reward mediocrity, but do you think it's better to have teams shooting for 500 than tanking? Like I feel with the other way, when there's less teams getting involved in the playoff race, it's more enticing for these teams to tank. And I understand we still have some of these teams doing that, but I'd almost rather have a bunch of teams shooting for that middle ground and trying to find those extra 5-6 wins somewhere via free agency or a trade than being like, dude, how many teams in the playoffs? We're not even close. We can't do that. Let's tank.
Yeah. I agree with you that tanking is a big issue. I don't think expanded playoffs are the way to incentivize teams not to tank. I think there's some penalties that should be involved. They did a little bit with like the lottery kind of thing on draft picks. It's the order is not set in stone. And it's different. Like the rebuild, you shouldn't, for your fan base, completely tear it down for 7 years and expect your fans to stick around. This should be incentivized for people to come to the ballpark. But I just don't like the teams that are in the second wild card or you know what I mean? That even going further than that. I'm just not a fan of a team going 80 and 82, 86, whatever the case may be to get it.
Okay. Next question. Willson Contreras, former Cub, now with the Cardinals. He's making a strong impression with people at Cardinals camp. How difficult do you think it is going to a division rival and turning heads into a positive manner? And then quickly, are the Cardinals good enough on paper to win the whole damn thing, Jerry?
For Contreras, it's not hard. Just show up, do your work. People will come around. It's the buildup, the off-season stuff, the talks. It's going to be weird for him to go back to Chicago in a Cardinals uniform. But again, as long as he can get over the awkward, trade deadline hugs that went around, he can get over anything. I still can't get over that. It was so embarrassing for me watching it, like cringy moments. But if he can get over that, he'll be fine. As far as on paper, I think the Cardinals are really good. I don't love their depth. They need Flaherty, your boy Jack Flaherty, to show his 2019 form, because we talked about what we look for in starting rotation is that stopper. And I don't think they have a true stopper unless Flaherty really steps up. And then their bullpen is tremendous. Their lineup is good. They're definitely on paper better than the 2006 Cardinals, who won the World Series. So I think they're good. Their lineup is strong.
That is a good point about Contreras, man. All you got to do is show up and put the work in, right? Like that's all the people care about, especially on the catching side. Like you better start to know your rotation. You better start to catch a bunch of bullpens. You better be working with guys, going over your notes, talking about pitch mix, all that stuff, sequencing, all that good stuff. What I thought was really interesting was, when he's asked about coming over to the Cardinals, like all he started to mention was how hard these guys work and how it's going to be a positive influence on him. He said he saw Nolan Arenado taking a bat home with him. He's like, look at this dude. He's going to go swing in front of the mirror after he just got done at the baseball field. And then you got Goldschmidt, who's notoriously a hard worker. These are all like such good influences. And I'm not saying Willson wasn't already working hard. I'm saying like when you get around guys like this, who are these like veterans who no doubt he looks up to these guys. How could you not?
How could you not?
But you see them putting in the work. It makes you think like, I better do that. I better do more than that. That's what I always used to think, man. I would see Justin Morneau taking a million swings, doing his defensive work. And I was like, fuck. If Morneau, who is like an MVP and like, you know, if he's working this hard, what the fuck am I doing? I better go out there and do it. And I thank Morneau all the time for instilling that in me, like being that positive example as far as work ethic, man. Like guys need that. So I think it's going to be good. As far as on paper, are they good enough to win the World Series? Jack Flaherty, don't hate me, bro. I love you. I don't think so. Not right now. Because of what you mentioned. I think the rotational depth there. Now they could get by. You could get by with a you know, a decent rotation, and your bullpen you know, is better than expected, and they kind of take over that. But I think they're going to need to add to the rotation, and it could be as simple as, like you said, Jay Flair just going out and being dominant. It is a contract year for him. I know the work he's put in the offseason. I only saw the guy like 3 or 4 times. He kept telling me, he's like, bro, I'm in dog mode. I'm like, what does that mean? He's like, I'm going
this
dark.
Is his contract year? How old is he?
Contract year. He's like 26, 27.
Jeez, that's exciting. If he shows out, oh my goodness.
So he has been he has been working, bro.
Yeah.
And I sprinkled a little bit of Coach Trev on him this offseason.
Good.
So it does go off.
That's the magic we were talking about in Wordle, the Coach Trev magic.
That's what I'm talking about. So like, I'll say right now, no, even though I do really like this team, I'm just kind of, I'm being honest with the people here. I think they're going to need to make some adjustments or additions. And like I said, if Jay Flair does go out and he is that dominant guy, I guess that could be it for me. But I want to see it. Last question real quick before we go only amp here with the people. Spring training's obviously started for pitchers and catchers. What was your favorite part of spring training? And then tell me, are you an Arizona or Florida guy?
Favorite part of spring training is like there's 2 parts. Getting back to competition in baseball, you can't simulate it in the off season. And then, as you know, as a retired former player yourself, it's the clubhouse. It's getting back in, cutting it up with the boys, going back to work. You know, it's that, you know, in the trenches of warfare kind of mentality where only those that go through it with you understand what it's like. And you're going, you know, it's cliche to say going to war because obviously you're not comparing it to the real thing, but it is a common battle form thought process where you get in and that's what I miss the most from baseball is just being around the guys in the clubhouse every day.
I agree with you. I like going and having like breakfast with the boys, doing your crossword puzzle next to each other, chopping it up, all that good stuff. One kind of humorous aspect that I miss is when you first get to spring training, how many people are in the gym every day? All of them. The whole team's in the gym, like, look at me, look at all the pump I got in the off season. Then as you get closer and closer to the regular season, boy, oh boy, does that number drop, doesn't it, Jerry? It's like, hey, where you at, bro? You're not back in the gym anymore?
Well, I'm in the cold tub is where I'm at.
People start to get a little bit banged up. They're like, okay, maybe weightlifting's for the off season. I just need to kind of keep my strength where it's at.
Then as far as AZ or Florida, AZ by 1,000, not even close. Florida is not for me. Too many things going on, travel, I wasn't in a fun city for a lot of it. Like I need some social life. Give me the close proximity of Arizona. The least favorite thing about Florida for me is it's very regional. So all the teams that are close to you is the one you repetitively play them over and over, and they're always interdivision. So when I was with the Mets and the Nationals, it was like, all right, I need to face some lefties today. Who am I going to face? Oh, it's the same guys I'm going to face during the season and try to get out.
Getting that look at you, huh?
Yeah. And the more a hitter gets to see you, the better it is for the hitter. And so I would always end up pitching on the minor league side. So give me Arizona because you play everybody. You can go play in a split squad and see some different guys. And then you're done with your day at 11:30 and you can go hit the links.
I'm going to tell you this, man. I'm a Florida guy.
Oh.
I think maybe it's because I had a decent location. I'll give you just 2 reasons real quick. Fishing on all the freaking golf holes that you stay on in Florida. I go fish for some bass real quick. And the beach. Ain't no beach in Arizona, Jerry.
Those are two of the most overrated things in my opinion. I don't like to fish. It's not for me. I can see why. Give me fly fishing. That's an activity. And then the beach, it's fun for like 10 seconds, but you know,
overrated.
the beach is overrated. I don't enjoy being. I mean, it's fine. I don't want to. I'll be at the pool. Give me the pool.
Oh, you're a pool guy.
Sand is overrated.
You might have saved yourself right there. You're just a pool guy. Okay.
Give me a pool.
All right. I like the beach. That's it for today. We'll be back at, I think C Rosie and I will be back doing this next Tuesday, but we want to thank Jerry for coming on and filling in for Chris as he's lying naked on a beach in St. Lucia. So for Jerry,
Dan's going to be in some inappropriate spots for him.
Yes, he is. You would never be at that beach.
No shot.
We'll see you next time. We'll see you Tuesday.